And the question I asked was, were you investigated for this expansion of the signal group to include a journalist?
The White House conducted an investigation, and my understanding is the Department of Defense is still conducting an investigation.
Was any disciplinary action taken?
From the White House investigation, Senator?
Yes.
No, the use of signal was not only authorized, it's still authorized and highly recommended.
Would you recommend the use of signal for classified information to be shared between folks who have access to?
Again, we followed the recommendation, almost the demand, to use end-to-end encryption, but there was no classified information shared.
Did you speak to Secretary Hegseth about his decision to share detailed information on the specifics of an imminent military strike?
What we spoke about, Senator, was a highly successful mission that did something that the Biden administration did not do, was actually target the Houthi leadership. We subsequently saw a ceasefire, an increase in shipping, and a drop in attacks on our ships.
Well, look, here's what I hear on this exchange, and I want to get to the UN point. At the time, you took responsibility for having added a journalist inadvertently to a signal chat. But it doesn't seem to me that the administration's taken any action to make sure this doesn't happen again. There's been no consequences, and yet the president continues to denounce those who leak information. We both know signal is not a secure way to convey classified information. And I was hoping to hear from you that you had some sense of regret over sharing what was very sensitive, timely information about a military strike on a commercially available app that's not, as we both know, the appropriate way to share such critical information.
Congressman Waltz, I've watched this hearing, and I've been really disappointed. And what's been troubling to me about your nomination from the beginning is your failure to just stand up and take accountability for mistakes that you made and that all Americans know that you've made. Everyone in this room, every one of us has made mistakes, but what America expects from leaders, especially leaders who are tasked with our national security or could be tasked with the position for which you're nominated for, is for people to stand up and just take responsibility, take accountability. But I heard you just blame Biden. I've seen you not only fail to stand up, but lie. You said about this person when you were involved in the sharing of sensitive information about imminent military operations. I've listened to you now for weeks and months. You said this journalist intentionally infiltrated that signal chain. You said that he was sucked in. You denied, deflected, and then you did something that to me really lacks integrity, is that you sought out to demean and degrade that very journalist in crass and frankly, cruel ways that made him a target. That's not leadership. When you blame people that tell the truth, that's not leadership. When you can't say the words, I made a mistake. I could have done better. I learned valuable lessons from this experience. Instead, at a moment where our national security was clearly compromised, you denied, you deflected, and then you demeaned and degraded those people who objectively told the truth and criticized your actions. Smearing people, attacking folks, singling them out just furthers, compounds what I think is disqualifying about you for this position. It also, to me, just shows profound cowardice. You should step up right now. I heard Senator Coons. I heard you being asked by Senator Kaine again and again to simply say, I was wrong. I made a mistake. I take responsibility for my actions. Unfortunately, what you're doing to me is perfectly in line with the way this administration as a whole has operated. I've never seen an administration that has made no mistakes, can't learn constructively from things they did wrong, has no sense of self-interrogation or integrity. And should they be criticized legitimately, they go on the attack. We have too much of that rhetoric, that divisive, demeaning, degrading, cruelness that's being elevated and celebrated by this administration that you seem to fall in line with. I just watched with great disappointment that even after weeks, if not months of reflection, you couldn't sit before this committee and take some responsibility and talk constructively about what's learned. Instead, you do what seems to be yet another creative tool that people are doing, which is, hey, let me just blame Biden.